So that was King Charles and his sticky session, Carry Me Away. Charles, how are you, man?
Good.
Good to see you.
You too.
Thanks for coming down.
Pleasure. Pleasure.
Welcome. It sounded brilliant.
Thank you.
Sounded really cool.
Thank you for having me.
No worries at all. So about the song, I mean, how did that work? How did that happen? Where did that come from?
That Carry Me Away was actually the first song that I ever wrote when I was like 17 or something.
Wow.
And I never. Yeah, I guess you always think like the first song you ever wrote is rubbish, but I kind of like looked at it again.
Yeah.
Kind of redid a few things, and
is that how it tends to work for you? I mean, do you find that sometimes you'll do something and then you'll leave it for a while and then you'll come back and then
yeah.
It's quite a nice sort of approach.
Yeah, it is quite nice. I don't know. There's a purity to the first songs you write.
Yeah. Yeah.
In some ways.
But I guess sometimes it's like the first thing that you do. My dad always said to me, it's like the first thing you do normally is the right thing, you know, especially with songwriting. And, you know what I mean? I think
that may be true.
Yeah, and then, you know, you're not overthinking it. You know,
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It sort of comes from a place where you're not expecting.
Yeah, you don't have producers breathing down your neck.
Yeah, who are those guys?
Yeah.
Forget that. No, it's amazing. So, I mean, in terms of your writing, is this something that you like to sort of get away from and sort of lock yourself away in a room, or is it something that you tend to sort of share with other people, or how's your approach to that?
Well, I've always written on my own, and I've never really been able to write with anyone else. I've never really been able to find a space where I can really like think clearly. So I've always written on my own. But then recently, I've started writing with some people. Yeah. With girls, they've all been girls. I've found it much easier to write with girls, and so just making sort of brief kind of EPs, just starting with EPs. So there's not too much pressure on. Yeah. You've got to come up with an album or you know, start a massive new project. So
I think it's nice when the pressure's not there as well, isn't there? There's nothing worse than having a label pressure or having you know, so it's got to be delivered by then.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I mean? That's fantastic.
And it's nice of writing with people when you start as friends and you're like, oh, you like songwriting.
Well, so you know, it's I mean, I find this, I'm sure you probably do, it's a relationship-based thing, isn't it? And especially if you've been on your own for a long time, sometimes it's very difficult to actually share those emotions with someone else because you're bearing your soul, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And that can be a bit daunting sometimes when you're like, hi, I've got this idea about something that, do I want to tell you? You know, it's... can be a bit like...
I know, it can be, and it can be you can get quite like fragile about it, and it's a good thing to be able to get like hard and, you know, just be able to write as a, you know, as a profession, but I still kind of treasure the fragility of songwriting between people.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's an interesting sort of approach to it, and I think probably the best way to do it as well, because it is an honest thing, you know. Yeah. And it should be. Yeah. You know, songwriting is something that should come from the heart. And
it should, yeah. Yeah, you can kind of bypass the heart sometimes, though.
You can a bit. You're like, what does that rhyme with?
Yeah, exactly. It is a trade, you know. It is a trade. So
there is a certain art to it, definitely. But I love the way your stuff, you know, often doesn't have those sort of structures to songs, in some respects, which I think is quite good. You're sort of breaking down those rules a little bit and not necessarily sticking to a certain verse, bridge, chord. You know, sometimes I've noticed with some of your tracks, they tend to. Yeah, especially with your earlier stuff as well. Yeah. You know, I remember the first video I saw, and you know, when I was really like with you on the skateboard. Oh yeah. That Authentive filmed.
Yeah,
you know,
I remember that.
It was fantastic, and I was blown away then. I thought, this is brilliant. It just had this whole flow to it. Yeah. But brilliant. And you won an award as well in Nashville. For the ISC.
Yeah, international songwriting competition.
Songwriting competition,
exactly, yeah. That was like 3 years ago, I think now.
Yeah, amazing.
So
that must have been quite special to sort of get some acknowledgement for your songwriting.
Yeah, it really was actually, because you never really know how good you are as a songwriter until you sell records or don't sell records, and then you can never really tell once that's happened whether it's down to your songs or not. Yeah, you know.
That's brilliant.
But I remember just being in like a miserable like January day or something in Norwich on tour. I'd get a phone from some girl with a nice American accent telling me that I'm the grand prize winner of this thing that I'd completely forgotten that I'd entered. But it was great.
Incredible. A good day out in Norwich.
Yeah, great day out in Norwich, yeah.
Brilliant. Well, listen, thanks so much for coming down.
Pleasure, thanks for having me.
No worries, anytime.
Yeah, thanks.
King Charles. Cheers, man.
Sticky